That's me.
Who watched Survivor season 46? You know what? I thought that show didn't exist anymore, and then Liz was like, I'm going on. By the way, she told. Yeah.
I was so excited. I couldn't.
I bet.
Keep it a secret
So
either.
I want to dive into your story and your journey a little bit, but before, like, let's talk about the things that people want to talk about, which is Survivor.
Sure.
And your time on the show. But I want, like, why did you? I think this is fascinating. Like, why did you decide that you were going to even apply to be on it?
I think for me, I've just always been a person that likes to do ridiculous things. I mean, look at my outfit, right? I love to be seen, and I watched it on and off ever since I was a kid, and I always thought, oh yeah, I would get on that show. Oh yeah, it would be pretty easy. And I just kept talking about it, I guess, during every commercial break, and my then 7-year-old was like, are you gonna talk about it or are you gonna do it? And I was like, bet, sis. And I looked at my calendar, you know, because I live and breathe by it, and my 9 o'clock had canceled the next morning. And I, you know, took it, oh, it's a sign. And I said, oh, I'm gonna record and apply tomorrow morning. And she was like, I'll believe it when I see you on that TV. And she like pointed to what we were watching, and a little mini me, by the way. And I applied the next morning. They emailed me back within 10 minutes, which is crazy because I applied at 9 a.m. Eastern, and the lady lived in Hollywood. So it must have been, she must have like just gotten up. It pinged on her phone, and I don't even know if she watched the whole video, you know. And I applied, you know, she sent me a full application. She called me that night. A couple weeks later, I was meeting Jeff Probst, and the rest is history, for better or worse.
Yeah. So what was that process like, though? So obviously you submit a video. Like, that's where it ends for most people.
Yes.
So what happens
Sorry
after?
for ya.
What happens after? Like, I know damn well I'd go on there like, I've got a podcast. You should put me on the show, and they'd be like, no, you're good. You're like, you're so vanilla, right? So
Yeah.
what was the process like?
So I think, because a lot of people will ask me, oh, I've applied, or what should I do? And it's like, if you ain't got it, you ain't got it. You know, especially with Survivor, it's such an odd individual who wants to apply to that show, right? Like, you're on TV, you're starving, you're competing, you have to be physical, you have to live outside, like, it's real. And so as far as the casting goes, you know, I filled out the application online. It was like a video application. They call you, it's like this 10-page thing. Then, oddly enough, so Jeff Probst is the host, he's the executive producer as well, and he was the first person that I met.
Wow.
And so he scans everyone. And then for Survivor, I mean, they've been doing it 25 years. I think they just know who they want. And for me, and maybe this is probably why I'm on this stage as well, they said to me every time I got on the phone with one of the producers or casting directors, they'd say, Liz, we've never even met anyone like you. And Jeff has been quoted on his own, he has a podcast too. Maybe you could get him.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. He said, you know, from the moment I met Liz, I said, wow, we've never had anyone like her apply before. I knew immediately she was going to be on the show.
I love
so
it.
I don't really have any advice. I don't know how that works.
You know, I think the thing is with you, and you saying, oh, maybe it's why I'm on this stage now, is like, since the second I met you, however many years ago, till now, you've been uniquely yourself every step of the way. There's never been an apology of like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, there's so many people that are tiptoeing around, you know, pretending to be somebody else, wearing a mask, however you want to word it. But I met you at an event that I was speaking at. You were in attendance, and I started talking to you during one of the breaks, and you're like, oh yeah, well, I wrote a book about the poop tank. I forget what you call it, the dark tank.
Black tank.
Black tank in RVs.
I don't know why I said
and
black.
she goes, but I think I'm going to shift away from that and do like this email thing. And you were just very unapologetic about everything as you kind of went along. And I think being your unique self has led to so much success in your business, obviously on Survivor, all those things. Where does that come from for you? Like, why are you not somebody who tries to fit in?
Well, it was something that my mom said, and it, you know, my mom didn't get past the 8th grade, but every once in a while she drops little gems. And I was a really sick kid. Like, when I was 6 months old, I almost died from spinal meningitis. The doctor said, oh, your daughter's never gonna speak. She's never gonna be able to hear, you know, and here I am today. And so as a kid, I just, you know, I had like that leftover illness, right? I was always sick, always picking up the viruses at school. And one day I was home from class. I skipped school that day. I guess I was really sick. And you know, my mom, she goes, you know, Liz, the more you try to be like them, the sicker you get. You know, hashtag 90s mom. It had nothing to do with the second degree smoke. But it just, I mean, I was in 7th grade and I was trying to be like everyone else. I never fit in a day in my life to anything. Even out on Survivor with a bunch of weirdos, I was like, wow, these people are crazy. Like, I don't know how I could be friends with any of them. And it just something struck a chord, and I was like, yeah, you know what? They don't like me anyway. I might as well be myself. And so from that day, I think I just got a head start on being myself. And from that day, I just learned the more I was myself, the more the right people did come to me. Oh, I want to be Liz's friend, or oh, I'm listening to her, and I'm getting friendships now. And you know, that was 20 years ago or 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And
we're getting older.
I've just, and age is such a privilege. I'm so blessed. But it's so, like, it's just over and over been proven to me that my mom was right. The more I just lean into myself, the better I feel.
Yeah, I think that's super powerful. And that's obviously why you got selected on Survivor. Let's talk a little bit, so for people who watched, and if you haven't watched, it's probably streaming somewhere. Talk a little bit about your strategy. Like, I knew what you were doing while you were doing it because you kind of walked me through it a little bit. But I think your strategy was fascinating where, by the way, if you watch, Liz was barely on the first 3 or 4 episodes. And I'm like, there's no way in hell she makes it. She's getting cut every week. Nobody cares. And she made it to the final 4. Yeah. So she was on every episode.
I made every episode.
Which is huge. But like, talk a little bit about your strategy and why that was your approach.
Yeah, well, we've just been saying like, oh, you know, Liz can't be anything other than herself, right? And this was something that in casting, they asked me, they said, you know, Liz, most people, they get on the island and they try to blend in. And this casting director on a Zoom was like, Liz, you don't look like a person that could blend in if you tried. What are you going to do? And I said, oh my gosh, you're right. I don't know. I don't know. I've never blended in. And back to my mom saying, you know, quit trying to fit in, basically. I was like, shit, I'm screwed. I'm going to be the first one out. They're not going to cast me even. And I came back and I said, you know, on Survivor, a lot of people will try to blend in, like you said. A lot of people lie about their strengths in order to make it further. Like, they always cast a lawyer that tells everyone they're a high school teacher. You know, they always cast doctors that say, oh, I'm a physical fitness coach. And I said, well, the success of my business is so, like, it's so me. It's so wrapped up in my identity. There's no way I can go in and say I'm anything other than who I am. And so instead of trying to hide it, what if I exaggerated it? No one's ever exaggerated their success because people find that super annoying and they'll vote you out. But I thought, well, if I exaggerated it, no one's going to think I'm lying. And people need honest people out there. And that's what I went out and did. The very first thing you hear out of my mouth is, yeah, I've owned 4 businesses. I sold 2 of them. I'm pretty awesome. and everyone's like, hello, do you know where you are? Like, what? But it caused people to be attracted to me. Wow, even out here for $1 million, this chick is just herself, and I want to work with someone who is not afraid. And that was the part of the show that was hard for me to watch, that they didn't show that side of me, and they showed the people being repelled at first, and then they never not once showed anyone loving me. But thank you. I loved me too, and that was enough. So that was my main strategy, to just play a future version of myself, because I know one day I am going to be a millionaire. One day, you know, I will be as big of a deal as I see myself, right? And so it totally 100% worked. I had a lot of allies in the game. I made it to almost the very end. I never got a vote cast against me. No one ever said, yep, let's get Liz out. There was never a plan to get me out until the very end when I opened my mouth and started saying, oh yeah, those people are gonna vote for me. And then they were like, wait, shit, she's right, let's get her out. So I only was out of the game because I lost fire, not because anyone actually voted me out. But yeah, the strategy was just, don't try to blend in. That casting director was right. That will throw up red flags because people will say, she's lying, there's something about her that's not making sense. So we went the opposite way, which no one ever has done before, and it worked really well.
Yeah. It was really fun to watch, and I think in our household, like, so I hadn't watched Survivor since season 1. Like, I'm not, like, I know John's a Survivor fanatic. Like, he's like, he
was on to me.
He reads the threads and does all that stuff, and and so, like, I was like, I don't even know what to expect, right? And I said this to you when we were together at Podfest. I was like, we sat down every Wednesday night or whatever night it was with, my wife and the kids, and we watched together. And it was like this really cool moment where we got to enjoy and root for Liz. And I'm like, the whole time, I'm like, she's got to be voted off next.
Me too. Watching, I was like, get that lady off the screen. My God, today. I will interrupt you really quick to say, like, that has been the most unexpected honor of my life, to hear people say this show, like, brought me and my family together. Especially, I know y'all have, like, teenagers, right? They don't want to sit down and do anything with their parents. It's kind of like this, right? And so I've had friends, and even, like, my ex-boyfriend's sister, who I haven't talked to in 15 years, was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you were on this season because I got to watch with my teenager, and it was the first time he hung out with me, every single Wednesday, and we had something to talk about every single morning. And that's just been the greatest honor, other than raising my daughter, like, of my life, to bring joy. I went on Survivor very selfishly. I want to be on TV. I want the world to see me. I want that $1 million. I want that title. Me, right? And my entire family had to sacrifice a lot for me to go on. But that has been so amazing. Stories like Justin's, but also stories like, oh, well, I used to watch with, with my auntie, and my auntie has since passed away. Thank you so much for, applying to be on the show and playing, because every Wednesday night, it's like my auntie's watching with me. And it's like, what? I didn't think about that when I was going on, but it's like, wow, what an amazing thing to be a part of. What an amazing legacy.
How has your life changed since being on the show, if it's changed at all?
Well, I get recognized almost everywhere I go, which is so cool. Honestly, I love it. My daughter hates it. My daughter really, honestly, our relationship has changed as she's going into becoming a preteen. I'm noticing she's having this really weird thing that I wouldn't have imagined to have to deal with as a parent. She's having trouble at school making friends, and I try to console her because I was a nerd. I didn't have any friends. And she's like, Mom, you're so popular. We can't even go to the grocery store. You don't know what I'm feeling. And I'm like, wow, so I think that has changed. But I think, like, I'm still going through it. I've noticed, like, for me personally, I'm a lot nicer to myself. I think it was Mike was saying about the self-criticism could be a little softer. That's something I've been breathing into myself every day it's been almost 2 years now, of, Liz, as much grace as you give everyone else, you saw out on the island, because I had a major meltdown, that everyone was like, oh, Liz, you're starving. We wanted to do that too. Like, don't beat yourself up. I was like, oh, I deserve grace too. And so that's something that's really changed in me, that I'm not as hard on myself. I'm not, if I don't make the 1% growth that day, I'm not beating myself up about it. So I'm a lot softer to myself, which has been really nice.
Yeah, and those who didn't watch, Liz can't eat anything. Like, she's literally allergic to everything. And it's interesting because I feel like I've been a part of every step of the way with you because you came to the retreats that we hosted, and it was like, for some reason, it started out as like, oh, for some reason I can't eat that now. And then the second retreat you came to, you're like, I can't eat anything. And it was like craziness, right? And then you end up on this island where you have such a minimal choice of things to eat. Like, what was that part like? Like, to honestly go that long without eating, like, it wasn't a ruse, right? Like, this is real life.
It's so real. Y'all, there ain't toilet paper out there, okay? Like, Survivor is real.
I couldn't make it.
I don't know about other reality shows, but Survivor, there was a girl that got set on fire in the middle of the night. She woke up and the camera was like this. You know, like, they figured, she gonna wake up, you know, like, it should be fine. We'll put some cream on it.
That didn't even make the show.
It didn't even make the show. That wasn't even the most exciting thing of the day.
No.
You know? Poor thing. She definitely had second-degree burns. She was pretty messed up.
Who was it?
Venus.
Nobody.
She's a human.
No, nobody really liked Venus.
Anyway, shout out Venus and the gang. What was the question? Oh, food. So, honestly, and this goes with anything really, like, you don't know what's really missing until they shove it in your face, right? Like, not eating, and you can Google me and you'll be like, she's so full of shit. But I wasn't really thinking about food unless they put it in my face, right? Unless it was like, ooh, here's a shiny hamburger, and will it be yours? We don't know. Then it was like, oh my God, you know, you get feral. But really, you don't know, like, you don't know how hard you can push yourself until you put yourself in that situation. And then, you know, you really go into survival mode or whatever, and you live on adrenaline. So it really wasn't that bad unless they put it in your face. And it just, like, it taught me, because I didn't win. I was very upset. I was very hard. It still is like it feels so gross to not win. But it just, like, I realized, oh, I wasn't eating. I wasn't I was sleeping on the ground. I didn't have a blanket. There was no toilet paper. Like, wow, I'm really resilient. 25 days of that. And probably in 25 days, if I'm being, like, liberal with myself, I'd say about 3,000 calories. But if I'm being realistic, it was probably more like 2,000 calories, if that. Like, I'm fucking badass. Like that's crazy. I ate 2,000 calories at lunch. Ask Roberto. That's, to me, it's like, okay, you are resilient, Liz, and you can do anything if you want to push yourself.
Yeah. You know, and we talk about the resilience on the show, but I want to shift gears and talk about resilience as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Right. The thing with Liz is, and I'll just put it out there and we'll talk about how you did it, but she has a membership. It's $9 a month. It's how to become a better email marketer. And she makes multiple six figures a year off of it, off of a $9 a month membership. She sends out.
It's amazing.
So the only promise that she has is that she'll send you one email a week. She sends more, but her promise is, I'll send you one email a week that teaches you what email you should send out to your email list. And, like, the idea is, like, holy crap, like, she has to write one freaking email a week. She's making multiple six figures, and it's $9 a month. Why $9 a month? Like, first of all, people would pay more. Second of all, like, I would go, shit, that's a lot of nines I got to get to even put gas in my car. Like, what was the thought process there?
Well, I love that Justin just said that, because that was I was part of a peer mastermind, and we used to meet at like 6 a.m. on Mondays, and I said, oh, I got this $9 idea. I launched it the other day, and a very good friend, he goes, $9, Liz, you're gonna have to make a lot of sales. And I kind of stood up, in my little Zoom chair, and I was like, I know, right? Isn't that exciting? I'm gonna make so many sales. I love selling. I love sales. And I said, at $9, what if I could get 1,000 people? Like, wow, 1,000 sales? Like, that's gonna look so good on a webinar, And so to me, that part excited me. It's always when people say, oh, I could make 1,000 sales, or I could make 10,000 sale or whatever. And I'm like, the idea of asking someone for $10,000, I mean, even though I have before, I've sold high ticket, it just always felt like a lot of responsibility on me. And y'all, I don't know about you, but when I turn my computer off, I have a lot of responsibility. I'm a single parent. My darling husband has a personality disorder. I've been supporting my mom financially since I was 15 years old. My sister works for me full time. My brother has 4 kids and works like overtime every month and sometimes needs help. Like, I have a lot of responsibility. And in my business, I thought, well, what can I do that feels like an equal energy exchange? Like, I give you this, you give me a little bit of money, and you leave me the F alone. Like, and because client, if you sell a $10,000 package, even to somebody who is, a multi-million-dollar business, like, they expect $10,000 out of you. Like, that's too much work for me. Like, what can I give you for $9? And I can go on with my day because my mom's calling me for the 10th time today because I forgot to pay the water bill, And so to me, the $9 just felt like a good energy exchange. And also, like, I grew up super poor. And when I started my business, I was married at the time, and he thought I was being scammed. And every dollar I spent was a guilt trip. Liz, I don't know why you can't just be happy staying at home. I don't know why you believe, growth now, or whatever it was, right? He's like, that's a scam, that's a scam. And so money was a really negative thing, and spending money. And I thought, well, there's gotta be literally millions of other Liz's out there that believe it, but their partner or their bank account don't believe it, right? And so I've kept the price $9 for over 4 years now.
Yeah, by the way, if you guys aren't signed up, where do they go?
You can go directly to lizwilcox.com. On my menu bar, there's a big yellow strip. Just click that, and it'll take you to the sales page.
By the way, if you don't want to sign up, still go to the website, and you want to talk about leaning into your brand and your personality, like, her website is 100%
It looks just like this. These are my website colors. Actually, I couldn't believe when I saw an ad for this on Instagram.
That's hilarious. They last sold them in 1997.
Hey, these are brand new Grant Hills, okay?
But she calls herself the Fresh Princess of Email Marketing. And it's just on point, right? But it's like, I think the biggest lesson we can learn from that is, like, lean into who you are. I mean, I can't say it enough because there are so many people just trying to fake it, trying to be somebody else.
Yeah, well, let's talk about this. So Justin said, when I met Liz, she, was in the RV space. Well, he didn't mention this. I wasn't in the poop business. I was in the RV space.
It's funny you're saying the poop business, though. So I said that instead.
I'll say it again then, poop business. So I was in the RV space, and I had written this book about, funny stories about RVing, and most of them have to do with sewage, right? You're carrying your sewage going 70 miles down, down the highway, like, you're bound to have a funny story. And, the majority of my audience were men in their 60s, married, empty nesters, and they were trying to hit the road. And so I catered to that audience. And not that I wasn't Liz, I can't be anyone but myself, but there were certain parts of me that I toned down, or I just didn't, maybe I was talking about AC/DC instead of NSYNC, things like that. I was talking about, family versus, silly things. And even the poop book, like, that's not what I wanted my legacy to be. And I think I might have even said to Justin, I was like, I'm just so much smarter than poop. Like, I have a master's degree in leadership, but when I walk around a campground, they're like, oh, you're that poop lady. And I'm like, maybe I took a wrong turn here somewhere. This can't be it for me. And so I ended up selling that business. And when I went to create the personal brand, like, okay, I'm gonna go back to lizwilcox.com, like, what are those things that Jamie talked about earlier? What are my anchor words? What are the things I want to present to the world? And it was like, well, I love color. I even changed glasses when I sold the business. I was like, I'm gonna wear my rainbow glasses. I started dressing the way I liked to dress, wearing, cutting my hair shorter. I always wore the headband. So actually, color. It's just raining color.
That is not for me. Like when I bring out the surprise to you guys, nothing's falling from the ceiling.
That's
a Liz thing.
That was a single tear for me losing in fire. But I just wanted to bring myself more out there, and I thought about what my mom said, the more you try to be like them, the sicker you get. And I was like, I know I have proof positive that if I'm myself, the right people will come. And so, it's been 5.5 years now since I started teaching email marketing. And every time I just dive deeper into myself, the more customers I attract, the larger my audience gets, the more testimonials and case studies I see. Even coming here, seeing people I haven't seen in 3 years. Oh my gosh, Liz! And it's like, that's cool. That person knows me, but like they know me because I just am who I am. And I love that.
I love that, yeah. So the one thing, I mentioned earlier that I work 2 to 3 hours a day. And and that's the reality. And also when I go away, I don't open up a laptop. So like, I didn't open up a laptop when I'm here. And then we're, in 2 weeks, we're going to Cape Cod for a week. I won't open up a laptop. And 2 weeks after that, we're going to Niagara Falls. I won't open up a laptop. And I've designed my life, I designed my business to provide my life, right? I don't work to live, I live to work. I don't live to work, I work to live. So what you did was you went on an island for 9 weeks. Is it 9 weeks?
5.
Close.
Thank God.
5 weeks. And your business continued to run.
Yeah, but I did take an additional 6 weeks off after that. I took over 90 consecutive days off of work.
Yeah, talk a little bit about how you've been able to design that for yourself and the importance for your mental health with that.
Yeah, well, really, I don't take clients, right? I was able to launch this membership in February 2021, and I wanted to give myself 2 years. I said, I'm going to do it for 2 years, and in 2 years, I want to get 1,000 people in the membership. That'll be $9,000 a month. Whoa, I'm rich. $9,000, are you kidding me? And it turned out it really only took about 10 months. To get that, and I stopped taking clients by the end of that year. And that's when I knew I could apply to be on Survivor, when my daughter basically dared me, I was like, actually, because I always wanted to be on the show, I was like, actually, my business is in a place where, I'm not taking clients. I probably could, with a little bit of prep work, I probably could go out for however long you got to go out for. And so when I was in that application process, my sister was working for me part-time, and I said, hey, when I get on this show, because I just knew, just the same way I knew I was gonna win. When I go out there, can you come work for me full-time? Because she was working for someone else, and she said, yep, I'll do it. I believe in your vision, I see it now. I would love to come work with you. And so we just hired an operations manager, and she came in and basically took everything out of my brain and put it into Notion. That's just a task manager or whatever. And that it took a lot of work. It took probably 3 months. And we went through mission, vision, brand values, what the brand voice guide, all that. I wrote all my emails over the summer because I knew I was only going to be gone 5 weeks, but whether I won or lost, I was going to want to take more time off because I knew I was going to make it to the end, so I knew I was going to be starving. So I was like, I'm going to need another month. If I could come back, I just went off grid, and then I come back and I'm on the screen and I weigh 100 pounds. Somebody's going to be like, that chick was on Survivor for sure. So we mapped it all out, hey, this is what's gonna happen. We had a large flash sale we run every year that was gonna be going on while I was offline. So we mapped that out. We created all those systems and processes and everything. And I hired this operations manager for, a second contract so she would work with Patricia, my sister, while I was gone. And y'all, when I was out on the island, so I was gone 5 weeks. Well, let's say I took 90 days off consecutively. I made $100,000 in those 90 days. I didn't have my phone. I didn't have social media. I didn't have my laptop. And I've done that. I'm prepping right now for my 3rd summer to take 90 days off consecutively. It's awesome. You should try it.
You know, and again, I think part of it's trial and error, trying to figure out what works best for you. And like, you were so defined from the very beginning of like, this is what I want to do.
Yes, well, Justin mentioned it earlier, the visualization. That was something that I learned from Justin, and you know, writing down, this is what I want my day to look like. This is what I don't want it to look like. This is where I'm going, et cetera, et cetera. And I realized a couple months ago, I was sitting on the bench looking over the water because I live on the bay now, and I was like, oh my God, this is what I wrote down 8 years ago. Like almost to the T. Like the only thing that's missing are the people that didn't see it with me. You know? And like, that sucks for them. like I'm so awesome. Like this is so great. Like, ouch, I really feel for them. But yeah, it's like just insanity when you have that intentional, or when you have that vision and then that intentional action, just how powerful you can become. I mean, y'all, when I was in high school, I lived in a 1-bedroom trailer with 7 people that had no indoor plumbing. Like, what the fuck? Like, this girl shouldn't be here. Like, when I was in Fiji, I kept thinking about my 2 best friends from middle school and high school and how they're both, you know, addicted to meth. One is in prison because he robbed a bank, and the other one just got her kids taken away because she's addicted to meth. And I'm on a TV show? Like, this should not be my life. But it's that, like, having that vision, taking that time to say, like, well, where do I want to go? Like, where am I going? Who do I want with me? And